Is it cool? Michael. Let's get some pie pumpkins. Awesome. Pie pumpkin organic, nice. You got your pumpkin. Okay, put it in the basket. How many pumpkins do we have?
1, 2, 3 pumpkins.
Okay, to get started, I have 2 pie pumpkins and I have thoroughly washed them. You want to do that before roasting just to get any dust or just, you know, when they're sitting in those bins, you just don't know what's all over them. So you want to clean them and dry them off. Okay, so now I am going to half the pumpkin, and by the way, when you do this, be careful. I know it looks like I'm about to hack off my fingertips, but no worries, because ta-da, I have the pumpkin. It is kind of hard to cut in half, but alas, I did it. So now I'm just going to scoop out all the seeds and stringy stuff from the middle of the pumpkin. Yeah, that's me just making a mess with scissors and whatnot. I did discover that if you cut the pumpkin in the opposite direction, it's a lot easier. So here I am, I'm going to show you. See, I cut it this way and it was super easy to scoop out. I should have did the other one that way. So when you're doing this, that's something to think about. So all I do is just run the spoon along the membrane of what's holding all the seeds together, and ta-da, it comes out. It was super easy. So that's something to remember when you're doing this. It'll save you time and fingers and cuts, and you won't have to use kitchen shears. So anyways, I'm gonna finish cleaning this out. Now I'm going to flip them over on 2 baking pans, and I'm going to bake them in a preheated oven of 375 degrees Fahrenheit for about 60 to 75 minutes. So after 75 minutes, this is what they look like. And now I'm just going to flip them over and let them cool. I'm going to let them cool enough so I can handle them and scoop out the flesh. Enough to handle, and I'm going to scoop out the flesh. Now when I did this one, I used a spoon, and then I thought, once again, this is making a big old mess when I don't need to do that. So I actually just pick it up now and just squeeze it out, and it's as easy as that. The skin peels off. So again, another time-saving tip. Now I'm going to work on my pie crust. Here I have 1.5 cups of flour. I'm also adding a pinch of salt. Now I'm adding about 1/2 teaspoon of sugar. I'm just going to give that a quick mix. Next, I'm going to be adding 1/3 cup of shortening, and I made sure this is really cold. With my bare, clean hands, I'm going to just mix this all in. Sure, I could use a pastry cutter, but I'm just going to use my hands, and I'll tell you later why. I'm also going to be adding about 3 tablespoons of ice cold water, and again, just mixing up all of the pie dough. Once my pie dough forms a nice ball, I'm going to set that aside. Now I'm going to roll out a piece of parchment paper and toss that on there, and then I'm going to lay another piece of parchment paper, and then I'm going to roll it out. And I'm going to roll this dough out fairly thin because I'm going to bake it raw. I'm not going to pre-bake or blind bake my pie shell. I'm going to put the pumpkin filling in the raw shell. So that's why I'm rolling it out thin, because I want it to cook. And it actually still comes out really flaky, by the way. So okay, so now that this is all rolled out, I am going to get my pie dish, and yes, it says apple pie, but I use it for all pies. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to peel back the top layer of the parchment paper, and I'm going to flip my rolled out pie dough into the baking dish. So there we go. Now I'm just going to gently peel that off and lay in the pie dough snug against your pie dish, and just do that carefully. You don't want to tear the dough, and even if you do, just press it back together. No biggie. Okay, so I am not a professional baker by any means, and I don't know how to professionally do these awesome little pie edges, but I am going to make it look rustic, darn it. So just with my knuckles, and I'm just going to kind of pinch in the pie dough into my knuckles to kind of crimp it on the edges, and I'm not going to trim it. I just fold over whatever extra is there, and you know, you get a rustic pie shell. That's what I like. So you do what you want, but that's how I do mine. So here it is. I'm going to refrigerate this for at least 30 minutes. Okay, on to the filling. In the blender, I already put 2 heaping cups of my puree, and now I'm adding 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. I believe this can is 14 ounces. Check the description box below. I'll put everything in there. Okay, so empty out that can, and next I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and now I'm going to add freshly grated nutmeg. And I actually didn't measure it. I normally, because I just kind of grate it in there, but if I had to measure it, it's probably less than 1/8 of a teaspoon. It's not a lot. And you can actually add ground ginger, cardamom, you know, 5 spice, whatever you like, but I choose cinnamon and nutmeg. That's what I like. So now a pinch of salt, and I'm using an egg substitute. I will put the product I use in the description box. This is where you would put 2 large eggs. I am using an egg substitute. Again, check your description box for the ingredients. Now I'm just going to blend all the ingredients. Here I have all of my blended ingredients, and now I'm going to pour it into my chilled pie shell. And you just want to go ahead and pour that in there. I will be baking this in a preheated oven of 425 degrees Fahrenheit for the first 15 minutes. Then I will lower the temperature to 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 35 to 40 minutes. For egg substitute, you will only bake for 30 minutes. It has been 30 minutes. I'm going to remove my pie from the oven, and I'm going to let this cool down for about 25 minutes before cutting. You want it to set. But take a look at this delicious golden brown crust. And as always, the recipe is in the description box below. So here is my delicious silky egg-free pumpkin pie. You can use egg in this recipe, and I hope you give it a try. I hope you like it, and thanks for watching.